For years, ECM has followed the established paradigm of having a dual boiler at the top of their catalog and a heat exchanger with a rotary pump right below it. But as the landscape of home espresso machines continues to evolve, I'm happy to say that ECM has evolved their thinking on this design philosophy as well. Hey everyone, Nick here with Whole Latte Love, and today we're taking a look at the all-new ECM Technika VI. This historic series of machines was actually the very first to be manufactured by ECM GmbH, and I'm pleased to see that the line has received some much-deserved love in this latest iteration. The ECM Technika VI is a dual-boiler E61 group espresso machine with a plumbable rotary pump, and it comes in at a price point that makes it very competitive from the standpoint of performance and value. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the performance of ECM's latest dual boiler. We'll review brewing and steaming performance, cover pre-infusion and additional upgrades like flow control, go under the hood to take a look inside the machine, and compare the Technika VI to ECM's Synchronika II and sister company Profitec's RIDE espresso machine. So with all that, let's get into it. As you'd expect from ECM, build quality remains a major highlight. The Technika VI features polished mirror finish stainless steel housing with rounded side panels and a distinctive round drip tray. The machine is built on a one-piece steel frame and retains a very classic E61 aesthetic. At a time when many manufacturers are moving toward increasingly modern interpretations of the E61 platform, the Technika VI doubles down on traditional ECM styling, while updating the internals instead. One of my favorite aspects of the design is how the side and rear panels form the walls of the cup tray, creating a seamless storage space. Part of the Technika's modernization comes in the form of a much more discreet OLED display and polished buttons, which boasts a suite of new programming features that I'll get into in just a bit. By far, my favorite update are the distinct navy blue pressure gauges that tastefully accent the housing and look great when paired with wood accents from Wiedemann. Beneath the polished exterior are a pair of vertical insulated stainless steel boilers with a 0.5 liter boiler for brewing and a 1 liter boiler for steam. Now, the rotary pump down here is actually one of the most unique changes on the Technika VI, because now there's a port that's been cut into this frame that sits directly above the pump. What you can do is you can actually take a flathead screwdriver that can fit through that port, and you can adjust the pressure at the pump. So what I found in my testing is that about a 90-degree turn, more or less, is going to get you around 1 bar of pressure change. So, thing to remember, you can always check your current static pressure by putting a backflush disc into your portafilter and simply running the pump, and you'll notice the pressure as it appears on the gauge. So, you can't adjust while the pump is running because you do need to have the reservoir fitted, but that's going to allow you to make those changes, and that's something that's really, really nice. And if we just follow the pump here, you'll see this is basically where on the bottom of the machine, we've got the fitting for the water inlet if we wanted to use our supply from the house, and the switch as well that lets us change the water source. So this little black switch here lets you change whether you want the machine in one mode or the other. This right here, we've removed the tube from it, but that's actually the inlet to the reservoir. So the pump basically would be drawing water from our reservoir, which would be seated in here, and then in through the pump, and then it enters into the machine. And so obviously we have a few different connections here for our different boilers. So water can pass up through here, goes up this copper tube, and then it goes into the steam boiler. On the opposite side, that's where we actually have the plumbing that goes into our brew boiler. For all of the internal wastewater that's produced by the machine, and then that gets discharged out of the machine and into the drip tray. Overall, really sound design, really great machine. And like I said at the start, just I think a very, very clever repurposing of housing in a frame that were originally designed for a heat exchanger boiler. Having adapted the same compact OLED PID found on other ECM and Profitec espresso machines, the Technika VI has a modern set of features that bring it in line with its contemporaries. To access the menu, simply press and hold the two buttons beneath the display. The plus and minus buttons are used to navigate the menu and allow you to make selections and changes to the various settings. Of course, you can program brew temperature and steam temperature independently, settable within 1 degree increments. There's also the option to change between Celsius and Fahrenheit depending on your preference. Where things get a little more interesting are the active and passive pre-infusion settings. There's settable active and passive pre-infusion. Active means that the pump is running and drawing water through the boiler, while passive means that the group valve is simply open. Where this is a little bit more unique on the Technika VI is that if the machine is plumbed in, you can use the waterline pressure to pre-infuse during the passive phase. This will typically be around 2 bar and is referred to as line pressure pre-infusion. For maintenance, you've got reminders for back flushing and water filter replacement, and for day-to-day use, there are 2 programmable on and off times along with an additional low power eco mode. We'll talk a bit more about it in our section on brewing performance, but there's also an offset adjustment for temperature calibration. Brewing on the Technika VI yielded some incredibly stable brew temperatures over the course of our testing. With the room set to 66 degrees, we pulled 10 shots back to back at 3-minute intervals and logged the results. We found that the average in-puck temperatures of our extractions were within plus minus 1 degree of our set 200 degree temperature. The routine used by John in our testing was to pull a 1-second flush and allow the PID to return to 200 degrees before brewing. We observed a roughly 40-second recovery time after pulling a shot, so you could definitely pull more shots back to back if you wanted. Boiler recovery after brewing and steaming was minimally affected. So a little more on that coffee offset correction. When brewing with a dual boiler espresso machine like this one, you have the ability to set your brew temperature. Now, when it comes to the offset, it's easier to think of the brew temperature as the desired temperature for your extraction and not the temperature inside the boiler. The offset helps to correct for atmospheric conditions that may affect the temperature at the group, such as having your machine directly underneath the vent when you've got the AC on during the summer. Coffee offset correction can be adjusted north or south of 0 by 10 degrees, meaning that you can account for a room that might be a little hotter or a little cooler depending on where you are. This is a great way to adjust and improve the accuracy of your PID display's temperature to guarantee that you're actually getting the temperature you need for brewing. From a steaming standpoint, the Technika VI puts up some impressive numbers, with the average of our 10 tests being just over 20 seconds. As a refresher, we steam 142 grams of refrigerator temperature milk to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. In addition to steam time, we also track the percentage of water added to the average coming out around 10.8%, which is fairly dry. We performed our test at the machine's stock steam temp of 262 degrees Fahrenheit, but the PID can be set as high as 274. The pressure creates a great roll in the pitcher to produce velvety milk that's perfect for pouring latte art. In terms of steam recovery, the Technika uses the same simultaneous boiler heating as the Profitec RIDE. This feature is intended to improve pressure stability while brewing and steaming at the same time. It helps to maintain consistency in the steam boiler and aids in boiler recovery time. As you can see from this video, the Technika VI is available from Whole Latte Love with both an E61 flow control device, Wiedemann wood accenting, and of course our exclusive Wiedemann flow control paddle. And if you're looking for a perfect match, you can also customize your ECM espresso grinder to match the accenting on your machine. Interestingly enough, the Technika VI has quite a few dual boilers from ECM and Profitec that people are likely going to compare it to. So I took the liberty of doing my own comparison of these machines from a features and specs perspective to give you a better idea of what each one is working with. One comparison that's impossible to ignore is the Profitec RIDE. Given the shared ownership and engineering between ECM and Profitec, these two machines actually have quite a bit in common. Both feature dual boilers that heat simultaneously. Both use the same modern OLED PID interface and have the option for flow control. But there are some meaningful differences. First is the brew boiler size. In order to fit the rotary pump, the Technika has a slightly smaller brew boiler than the RIDE at 0.5 liters compared to 0.75. Where you might notice the difference the most is in pulling rapid shots in back-to-back succession. The higher volume on the RIDE's boiler can contribute to greater thermal stability when preparing multiple drinks. The biggest difference, however, is the pump. The Technika VI uses a rotary pump versus the RIDE's vibration pump. The rotary pump will be quieter, produces a higher flow rate, and allows the Technika to connect directly to a water line. Where this makes the most impact is when using the passive pre-infusion cycle while the Technika is connected to your water line in order to do line pressure pre-infusion. To give the vibration pump some credit, it's much less expensive to replace, and the RIDE does feature an externally accessible OPV to modify static brew pressure. Also, as a final nod to the RIDE, it does come stock with a modular bottomless portafilter, which is cool, though your mileage with that may vary. So, obviously the Synchronika II remains ECM's flagship dual boiler machine. So people are going to want to know how the Technika VI fares in comparison. Well, for starters, the Synchronika II has larger boilers, including a 2-liter steam boiler that's twice the size as the one found in the Technika VI, and the same 0.75 brew boiler as the Profitec RIDE. That additional capacity helps if you're preparing back-to-back milk drinks or dispensing large amounts of hot water. You obviously have the same benefit of greater thermal stability while brewing as the RIDE does with the larger brew boiler as well. The Synchronika II also features an actively heated brew group, allowing it to reach operating temperature faster. Now, all that said, the Technika VI has advantages of its own. For one, it's more compact. It's roughly an inch shorter and almost an inch less deep, so you'll have an easier time fitting it under your cabinets. More importantly though, the Technika VI comes in at a lower price point. So while the Technika VI may not have the Synchronika II's capacity, it still features great temperature stability, powerful steam, variable pre-infusion options, and the ability to plumb in. But it also leaves ample room in your budget for upgrades elsewhere in your setup, whether that's a better grinder, a premium scale, or improved water treatment. At the end of the day, I think ECM made exactly the right decisions with the Technika VI. Moving from a heat exchanger to a dual boiler platform modernizes this machine in a very meaningful way and keeps the line relevant while allowing the rotary pump and plumbing capacity to stand out. It goes without saying that the updated PID features bring the user experience much closer to what buyers expect from a premium machine today. The result is a machine that occupies a really interesting position in ECM's lineup. For anyone looking for a compact, plumbable dual boiler with classic ECM styling, the Technika VI deserves serious consideration. And that's our review of the ECM Technika VI. Now, if there's anything I missed or that you need to know more about, let me know down there in the comments and I'll get you an answer. And if you're not subscribed, you know what to do. I'm Nick with Whole Latte Love. We'll see you next time, and thanks for watching.